Hello everybody, welcome back to the 10th video in our series of watercolor painting activities. For today's video, we're going to go ahead and paint this simple but beautiful picture of this nice, big, beautiful wave forming and crashing down into the ocean. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with our painting. As you've seen, we're going to be painting this simple but really pretty wave, and I might even add on some of the ocean in the bottom right here. But we're going to go ahead and paint this wave. It's pretty easy, it's pretty simple, but it looks very, very pretty. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Obviously, we're going to use a lot of our nice dark blue pigment right here. And what we're going to do to start off is we're going to use our broad-headed brush. We have our broad one, our thin one. We're going to go ahead and use this broad one right here. And I'm going to start off by dipping in the water. And go ahead and get some of that paint started in that dark blue pigment in our palette. So let's dip it in the water and mix it into this palette a couple times, maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm gonna go ahead, do that, and then get some nice dark blue on our brush. You can technically paint this picture either or vertically or horizontally, so portrait or landscape, it's up to you. Today I'm gonna go ahead and do a portrait drawing, so vertical paper, just like in this example shown right here. So let's go ahead and let's get started. And we're gonna go ahead and start off with the big main outline of our wave, where it starts off in the bottom right here, and it comes all the way up and bends over right before a wave falls back into the ocean. So it may just look like a crest or a curve right now, but as we keep going along, we're going to keep doing this, where we keep getting some more paint and broadening out, thickening out our wave. And we're going to keep going back and forth from dipping it in the coloring. And then, of course, we're going to try and conserve as much paint as we can by dipping our paintbrush into the water and going ahead and spreading out that beautiful blue coloring that we already put on our paper, and spread it out for more areas of the paper, just like that. So obviously, as we get closer to the edge, I'm going to go ahead and switch over. I'm going to go ahead and get this to be thinner and thinner as we go up. And of course, thicker and thicker as we go down here at the bottom. So let's keep going. I'm going to keep doing kind of messy strokes like this, and then dipping it back into the water to color in, spread in that paint, or spread around that paint, I should say, around that area. And get some beautiful pictures just like that. I'm going to keep going on. Basically keep making the bottom nice and thick, nice and strong, while the top gets thinner and thinner and represents the wave about to fall over and crash back into the ocean. So let's go ahead, keep doing that. I'm going to go ahead and end our main body of the wave just like that. Alright, so now we have a large portion of our wave. You can go ahead, go back, keep adding on some paint, changing it up just a little bit. You really don't have to make it super nice and neat, honestly. That's the beauty about drawing or painting nature, is you can just kind of go around, freely paint, and it'll still work out really, really nicely. Because obviously water isn't super uniform. It's kind of like this. It's all over the place and it looks really pretty. Alright, so now that we have the main part of our wave, the main body of our wave, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add these little bits of paint sticking out. We don't want it to be a perfect curve. I mean, this isn't a perfect curve already, but we don't want it to be super smooth. We want it to be more water-like, just kind of feathering out and flowing around everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same technique that I've been using in the past few videos by starting out kind of near the edge of our already drawn in body of the wave, and we're just going to press down, and as we go out, lift up off of the paper just like that, and kind of make a beautiful watery, feathery kind of outline. It gives it more texture. Of course, you can turn your paper around, keep doing this, gives it more texture, makes it look more and more like water, and it's very pretty, very nice. So just gonna keep doing that. You can do as many of these strokes as you would like. You can do none of them. It's totally up to you. But just like that, I'm just kind of gonna go down, make that feathery, watery kind of texture, and make it look like the water is just flowing around all over the place in this big wave. So I'm gonna go ahead, kind of keep doing that. More strokes, of course, as we get closer to the edge. I'm going to do shorter and shorter strokes, and then as I get closer to the bottom, do longer, bigger strokes. So now that we have kind of the feathery, watery look on the outside of our wave, what we could do is do the same thing on the inside of our wave. However, instead of going down like that way, we're going to go up like that. So I'll demonstrate. Go ahead, grab some blue. I'm gonna go ahead and start here and I go up and kind of feather out basically the opposite direction as we just did on the outside of the wave. And all this is doing is making our wave look more like a wave. It makes it look like the water is really coming up and curling over into that wave shape, just like that. And if you really want to, like I did here, make it a little bit of a lighter blue, you could go ahead. All I did for that was just taking a little bit of blue paint and then mix in some water. And that gave me a little bit of a lighter blue compared to the rest of the wave. So just like that, it does not have to be perfectly even. It's totally fine. You know, I'm sure it looks wonderful. So now that we have our main body of the wave, I'm going to go ahead and add on basically the rest of the ocean alongside. So I'm going to go ahead and keep using this nice beautiful dark blue, and I'm just going to go ahead and start from the edges and kind of go in just like that and fill in, basically making the rest of the ocean that this wave is kind of crashing into. Just give it some extra detail. Make it really look like this big wave is rising up out of the water and crashing down. So, alright. So as you can see, it's maybe not reaching there perfectly, so that's totally fine. All I gotta do, grab some paint and kind of make sure it just reaches down from the wave into the rest of the body of water ocean that I'm painting as well. And again, this does not have to be a super organized or symmetrical kind of stroking or brush. or paint really. It can be really random. It can be super unique. You can make it however you would like. Because in nature, you know, nothing is perfectly symmetrical. That's what's so nice about it. So I'm just gonna go ahead, fill in basically the rest of my ocean. And just like that, I have almost finished my entire wave. As I said, this is a very simple shape, simple wave, but it looks very beautiful. So now that I have this, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add on some lighter blues, basically some accents along this wave. So let's go ahead and do that. It may be a little bit hard to see, but it really does make a difference. On this one, for example, you see it's really dark, and then right here, I added on some of this really light turquoise blue along all of the wave pretty much, and it looks really pretty. It looks really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do basically the same thing. So let's go ahead, grab our thin brush. After we've just used a lot of our broad brush, we're gonna use our thin brush. We're gonna go ahead, start painting in and getting some of that nice turquoise blue. You may want to go ahead and make sure that this turquoise blue right here is very watered down, is very watery. You know, some colors like black and brown, you may want to be more thickened so that it doesn't spread around. But for this turquoise blue, we're going to be adding on top of our wave. We are going to really want that to kind of spread around easily and make some really pretty accents. So after we've done that really quickly, before we go on and add some of that blue, we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of water on top of our dark blue. So as you've seen in a few of the videos before this one, all we're doing is we're dipping in our broad brush into the water cup and adding some water on top of the blue on our wave. And all this is going to allow is for that blue, the light blue we're going to add on in a second, to be watered down and kind of spread around and make these really pretty water effects. And it'll really bring this picture of a wave or some water to life, and it'll look very, very nice. So we're just going to add just a little bit of water. All I'm doing is dipping it in, lightly pressing down. As you can see with the glare, I'm adding a lot of water over the top of our wave. So now that we have done that, I'm going to go ahead, take our thin brush once more, grab some light turquoise blue. I'm going to go ahead, start making some accents. So all I'm doing is I'm very lightly pressing down, very lightly touching this dark blue. Basically, I'm touching the water on top of the dark blue, and that is just adding on a little bit of lighter turquoise blues within that dark blue wave, making a really pretty accent, making it different. So I'm just going ahead, as you can see, I'm starting off pretty broad, and then I'm kind of going back and spreading around the light blue paint amongst the rest of the dark blue wave. And I'm just kind of doing this over and over again. I may want some areas to really stand out, like right there, so I might just go ahead and leave that right there. And I'm just kind of going over really softly. I'm not pressing down hard at all. In fact, I'm barely pressing down at all. Just kind of skimming over that water that we added on. And adding on some beautiful light blue accents to our wave. You can add as much of this turquoise blue as you want. You can add as little as you want. Maybe you don't want any turquoise blue in your picture at all. That's totally fine. It's all up to you. You get to customize it and make it however you like. Make it yours. I'm sure it'll turn out beautiful. So just like that, we're gonna go ahead and finish off right in 1 second. I'm gonna add a little bit more blue, just kind of all around. I'm not doing it in any pattern. I'm not doing it in any specific way. I'm just adding on little blue accents here and there in random areas. So after we have finished adding those light blue accents, we have pretty much finished our wave, and that is going to be the end of our beautiful wave crashing down into the ocean. Alright, that is going to be it for today's video. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you had some fun. I ask really quickly that you check out the survey below. It'll only take a few minutes and it'll help me out a lot. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you on the next one.